So we're very happy that we have Becky back with us today. She was here with these young people for 2 years, teaching them Sage all that they know about cooking and helping them with a whole lot of things. So we're glad you could be here with us. Last night at the 8th year graduation, all the graduates are up on the stage at the High Museum and they all talk about one another, and Samantha said some things, and it was this lovely ceremony. And there were 2 girls up there graduating who came through our classroom. And so how long ago was that? 5 years ago?
What?
That they left us?
Yes.
Yeah. So 5 years ago, they sat in chairs just like this, and we talked about their time in lower elementary, and we gave them something really special at the end. Do you know what it is that you get?
Yes.
What?
The arbor leaf.
The arbor leaf, a crystal leaf from the arbor tree. One of those girls last night had that on. She was wearing that necklace to her graduation. I'm going to show you what it looks like. Jen, I need you to put that pen down. Thank you. Look at that. Kayla strung this for you. So you might want to wear this. You might want to hang it in your window. It catches the sunlight. Something for you to remember your lower elementary years at Arbor. And I want to read to you about it a little bit. This is an Arbor tradition that goes back, oh goodness, how long do you think?
I don't know. Lynn wrote it. Lynn Buckler wrote it. So.
Gosh,
Long
25
Probably
years?
so.
Maybe? There are a lot of crystal leaves out there in the world. You're joining a very special group.
Well, yeah, probably that long because Kimberly's got one, and it's been 20 years.
And you're old, so
Yeah.
that's old.
So,
This is a leaf from the arbor tree. Place it in your window where it can reflect a rainbow of colors. As you watch that rainbow, remember, you are a special gift. You're like no other person who has lived or will ever live. What adventures and experiences does life hold for you? What will you do to contribute to our life here on earth? May the rainbow remind you to dream of life's great possibilities and to remember the time you spent with us at Arbor. That's the hardest part to get through.
My brother was wearing the arbor leaf yesterday to school.
Was he? Because they had their ceremony yesterday? All right. So what we're going to do is hear a little bit from your students and hear a little bit about what their friends have to say about them before we let them move on up. Sophie. I know. You can be nervous and stuff. Deep breath.
I would like to thank my parents for letting me go to our school.
I want you to take a deep breath and I want you to 3 times as slow. Nice big breath. Yes.
I would like to thank my parents for letting me go to Arbor. Becca, Kayla, and Becky are really great teachers. My favorite memory of being in this classroom are cooking with Melanie, Thanksgiving feast, and getting choices. Something I look forward to next year is being in a class with my friend Larkin. I will miss being in this classroom. I think it's unfair that I have to move on.
I've heard that a few times this week. Go ahead and stand up. How about those of you who are speaking? Will you come up and stand here?
vegetable soup with her, and she helped out a lot.
Sophie is kind of quiet and very, very sweet.
Sophie is very good at playing the tone bars. We made pumpkin pie together for the Thanksgiving feast, but we forgot to do the cooking window.
Thank you. Will you hand those cards to Sophie, please? So Sophie, I remember when you first came to visit our class, you were about as quiet as a mouse. And I wondered, is she ever going to talk? And for the first year, you didn't talk a lot. Do you know what you did instead? I remember I used to tell your mom that it made me so happy. You would dance. I would catch you dancing over in the side of the room. You would dance over by the tone bars. But you did all of your work really quietly. You gave me that sweet smile right there. And over time, you began to talk until this year, sometimes I've had to ask you to quiet down. Another thing that you used to do when you were little, do you remember you would clean? Well, we had circle at the end of the day, or if we were doing presentations, Sophie would go and clean on the tile floor. Remember that? Her with the broom. And she would get a giant pile of dirt. And she would clean until the last second when I had to say, it is time, we are going, let's go. We'd go out to carpools. She'd leave that huge pile. And so the cleaner would come in, and all that work is done. He'd just scoop it up. And he was always so pleased to find that. So I'll remember, of course, you playing the tone bars with two mallets, as though she's playing the piano, doing different melody and the accompaniment with the other one. Just stunning tone bars work. I'll remember how much you loved math and how you could write and write and write and write, and the researches that you've done, and how great you've been as a leader for the younger students. And every time I ask you, you're always willing to help or to give somebody a lesson. And it's been wonderful watching you grow up and become so confident. And I know you think it's unfair and you think I'm mean to push you down the hall, but I got that message loud and clear. But I'm not listening to you. You have to go. You ready? There will be a lot of really exciting lessons down there. You're going to find new friends. I'm glad you have Larkin to look forward to be with, but things are going to open up for you in a great way. I'm very proud of you. You can come see me every morning for a hug, as we've agreed, no problem. But then you're off on your way. Good work. Congratulations. Not just down on top of you, huh, Sage? So this morning the kids were noticing these sunflowers that I picked for them, and one of them, was it you, Justin? Somebody said, but they're all pointing in different directions because they were going every which way.
That was me.
That was you? And I said, it's just like you. You're all pointing in different directions. Yeah.
I would like to thank my parents for sending me here. My favorite memory in this class was when the volcano hit the ceiling and it exploded. And there was about 20 people playing mayhem ball. My favorite lesson was maps. My favorite map was my map of Finland that I did a few months ago. I also like making models and posters. One of my favorite memories was making nap tests. I'm going to miss the tortoises. I'm looking forward to doing trade maps.
All right, come on up, my speakers. Ryan. All right, stand up. Nicely loud.
Theo is one of the best defense players in soccer I've ever met. The the brick wall of Theo.
Theo is very smart about cultures and he loves maps.
Theo thinks quickly about 4 billion things per second.
Theo is a good group leader and he is very nice helping us with our research.
So Theo, I remember when you visited the class. I had no idea how much I would need to brush up on my geography. Usually, as an elementary teacher, I can get away with knowing the countries in North and South America, Europe, Africa, and about half of Asia, and I'm good to go. And with you, I've had to study at home. I've had to print maps off of the internet, especially this year. I mean, you've always loved maps, but this year you took it to a new level. After you made those map tests at the end of last year, then Theo came back this year, and he just stands right next to Kayla over there and says, could you please get online? Could you please find me a map of some city she's never heard of? And he'll say, well, I need it a little closer because I need to see this temple or castle or something that you know about that the only other person in the room who knows is Mufid. And then you draw an elaborate map of it, and it's brilliant. And thank goodness Taylor's family gathered up donations this year and got us a new atlas so that you could stop traipsing down the hall to Upper Elementary to get the best atlas in the school. Now we have our own. It's really thanks to you and Taylor. I should write that in the front of it. The Taylor and Theo Memorial Atlas. And also another way that you pushed me as a teacher that made me laugh right out loud was when you came to me earlier this year. Now, was it Bolivia the first one?
No, Croatia was.
It was Croatia. So Theo wanted to do a research. There's nothing special. We all want to do research. And he said, could you just get for me those checklists from group research? And I went and got him 2 pages full of questions that are designed to be answered by 4 children. And he took them and did his own research with all of those questions. You're going to argue, aren't you? Did you not do one of those questions?
I did all of them.
You did all of them, okay. Just that look, he's like, oh, he's going to correct me. Well, then he did another one, and that was Bolivia. So he twisted Jack's arm into starting with him and doing the first half of it. And then Jack said, whoa, buddy, that is enough. And so he said, all right, Mufid, come on. And so he got Mufid to do the second half of it with him. So needless to say, I've loved teaching you. It's been an adventure. It's been great. I mean, what they said, what your peers said about you, that you think about 4 billion things per second, some days it feels that way. And it's hard for me to keep up. So I'm very excited for you to go to Upper. I think you're going to have a blast. The trade map that you just made in a couple of years is going to seem so simple to you because of the depths you'll be able to go to down the hall. So I'm really proud of the work you did in here. I'm happy to have you, and I wish you best of luck. You're welcome.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Nandini.
I would like to thank my parents for sending me to Arbor. I'm going to miss Elle and Sophie a lot. Some of my favorite memories are cooking with Sophie and the Thanksgiving feast. Getting the tortoises was really fun. Something I'm looking forward to is being in a class with Chloe. I think it is unfair that I have to move up. One cool thing that happened in my first year was when the oven caught on fire. I'm also going to miss Flash and Opal, our tortoises. I'm really, really, really going to miss this classroom. My favorite lesson was area of a rectangle, and I'm really going to miss Becca, Kayla, and Becky.
This one is yours. I'll help you read it. Doesn't matter. Good. All right, read it.
Harmony was a very good group leader.
Nandini has a good heart. She is kind, funny, and honest.
Nandini is very good at playing the tune bars.
When I had no friends, Nandini cooked with me.
Good one, Paul. Got it? Okay, good. Okay. Well, Nandini, you just summed it up for me. When you first came in here, you were quiet and shy. You were excited for lessons, but then in between lessons, you'd say, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. But what I just saw there, when you paused in the middle of your speech and just glared at me and said you think it's unfair and all that attitude and all that spunk, that's what I was looking for. So I'm really happy that you're comfortable enough here that you can push a little bit like that. I will remember you playing the tone bars, oftentimes with Sophie, but also on your own over there playing beautifully. And I remember the stories that you wrote and the researches that you did and how much you loved animals and how you wanted to have a bake sale to benefit, I'm trying to remember which animal. There was some animal that you told me was extinct and it wasn't extinct and we had to go and look and get updated information. Do you remember that? It was like a year ago. Do you remember the animal? Maybe it was tiger.
I think it was tiger.
Was it tiger? Well, tigers really are endangered though, so it couldn't have been that. I don't know. I'm not sure. I remember all the times you cooking, especially this year, you can go over there in the kitchen and start to finish make something completely on your own without any help from Kayla or me. And I'm thinking what else. So many times you're just standing next to me saying, Becca, Becca, what should I do? Or asking me, how can I do this? And one thing I remember that's just from today, because it was just so funny. You and Sophie were doing the negative snaking, and they put in so many negative numbers. So you build a snake out of beads with this. You've got your positive numbers, your negative numbers. If you put in many, many, many negative numbers, then at the end, of course, your answer is going to be a negative number. And the girls had never put in so many that they landed in that position. Today they did. And so I took the lid off the box of the gray -10 bars, and Nandini jumped up and down. So excited. What? It can be that big. And that's the kind of joy I'll remember from you in lessons and your learning. I know you are ready to move on. I know you don't want to, but you have to. You can also come and see me every morning if you want for a while and bring the plants back and be an engineer. But I think you're going to have a wonderful time in Upper. I think you have no idea how great it's going to be and how ready you are for that challenge. So congratulations. Jack. I haven't read this, but I know one thing that's going to be in there.
First, I would like to thank Becca for getting the turtles. My favorite memory was the time the oven caught on fire. My favorite lesson is do research. The things I'm going to miss are the turtles and the fish. My favorite day was pizza day because I get 4 slices of pizza. I'm going to get forward to using the computer and upper, and I like the guinea pig too.
But you're going to say more about pizza.
I did one.
What did you say?
I did one.
I know, but we don't have it. Yeah, you're what we have this way. Somebody did that.
Becca, I said that loves pizza.
I know, I didn't write all of them. Yeah. Okay, good. Right, good.
Jack loves pizza and fizzy drinks, but he does not like pickles.
Jack was a good group leader for China and set the world record for the fastest group research of all time. Jack has good handwriting and he can read well. Jack is nice, funny, and energetic.
It sounded energetic the way you said it. Jack, I mean, what they said about group research is true. That was the world record fastest group research. You beat every deadline. And do you remember what you said when I asked you? How are you doing this?
No.
No? You said, well, we were fighting, and then we just stopped, and now all we do is work. Teacher's training. And you led that group so well. You were just heads down, now we're doing this, now we're doing that, take a break, go have snack. It was great. It was actually, this year, some of the best work that I'd seen from you, which was a really challenging thing. You know how hard it was to stop the fighting, right? And get everybody working together? That's great. So what am I going to remember about you? A lot of times, Jack, yeah, you were standing next to me, and you were telling me a story, and there was a punchline coming to the joke that I wouldn't know, and then you'd get there, you'd tell me the joke, and I would roll my eyes, and you would collapse in giggles, and just walk away and go back to your work. I remember having to pull you out of the reading corner, because of course there's a limit. You can go to the reading corner once a day, you can read for about 10 minutes, good way to reset. And Jack would go to the reading corner 4 or 5 times a day, if nobody caught him. And then sometimes I would say, all right, Jack, we gotta stop reading, we gotta get back, we gotta do some other kind of work. And then he'd go over, he'd say, okay, always polite, okay. He'd go over to his cubby and he'd stand right by his cubby with the same book and just keep reading. Jack, put the book in your cubby, okay. And then I would turn around and I keep some books over here. And really they're early readers, so not anything like Jack's usual reading level. And I would find Jack, and in fact I found him there this morning, reading. Jack. And sometimes he'd hide over in the corner over there with an encyclopedia. And then catch him reading and say, Becca, did you know? So obviously he loves to read. It really wasn't the oven that caught on fire though, was it, Jack?
I caught inside of it on fire.
It was the cheese on top of the cheese bread, right? Yeah, that was a crazy day. I do remember some funny things with you in the kitchen and cooking, getting ready for the feast, and working on how to hold the knife. Remember that?
No.
You don't? Oh, goodness. Jack. Okay. Another thing I'm always going to remember about you are the stories you would tell me after you visited the farm. You would come back and say, oh, we found arrowheads, I got to drive a tractor, and I would think, no, you didn't. And then your mom would send me a picture, and you were driving a tractor. And I also remember how many times you could hit your head in here. He'd come to me and say, I did it again. I hit my head. How did you do that?
Jack.
He did. I was really proud this year to watch you move into a leadership role and take younger children under your wing. And even when you were feeling like, there was a while where Jack was telling me things are just boring, he didn't really want to work. If I said, could you help so-and-so? He would say, oh, okay. And you would go and help them. And I've also been impressed by how hard you've worked this year. You heard somebody say there how great your handwriting is. And you have worked so hard at figuring out your print letters and getting everything so neat that when we do group research, nobody needs any help at all reading the note cards you wrote. You've done a lot of hard work. I know you're going to have fun in Up Elementary, make new friends, learn new things, and congratulations. Sorry.
Okay.
Justin.
I thank my parents for sending me to this school. My favorite times were research and group research. I also liked when the tortoises, Flash and Opal, came to our class. I also liked when the mechanicals came.
Was that the end? All right. Let's see. You try this time. You're reading on behalf of all of the students. Remember, a lot of the little ones didn't want to talk. Okay.
Justin is very funny, creative, helpful, and kind.
Justin is energetic and he likes to eat pizza.
Justin did a good research on potatoes.
Justin plays handball a lot and he is a really fast runner.
Well, Justin, when you first came to our class, it was the strangest little story because you weren't even living in a house. You were living at Stone Mountain Park, weren't you?
I remember that.
You don't remember that? Weren't you living in a camper? Right? When you first moved down here, your house was there, you were in the process of buying it, but it wasn't yours yet. And so you would come to school for a little while in the beginning of the year, every day, living in a camper. I thought it was the coolest thing. And that first year, pretty much every conversation I had with your parents, I would say, you know, Justin just wants to sit right here. This was your chair. You wanted to sit next to me all day, every day. So I would say, okay, let's go have a lesson. And we'd go to table A. We'd go to table, remember we had table H then. We'd go to table H. I'd try to take you as far away from my table as possible to get you involved in work and talking with the other kids. And you would sit there until you would say, okay, am I done now? And you go right back here and sit next to me. And I kept saying, I just really want him to move off and go on his own. And then the next year, I sat down with your parents in the fall, and I said something along the lines of, well, I shouldn't have wished for that, because you never sat next to me again. You took off, and just like this year, you're always in the mix of your friends and working hard. Oh, I'll never forget you and the math bothering me. You wanted bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger math and made my hands tired. And you would stand over here and sort of jump up and down and ask me to check something that was so big. And it finally got to the point this year that I just had to say no. I'm not checking it anymore. Go ask Theo. But it's been wonderful to see you really grow up. When you first came here, you seemed like such a tiny little kid to me, and now you're totally ready for upper elementary. 10 years old. Okay? I've enjoyed doing novel groups with you, and I did enjoy reading your researches and watching you lead your research group this year. It was tough, wasn't it? And you came a few times and asked for help, but you did it, and you pulled through, and you pulled off a great paper. Yeah. So I'm very proud of you. Been very happy to be your teacher these 3 years, and I wish you all the luck in upper elementary. And please come and visit me. Congratulations. And parents, thank you for all that you've done over these years and sharing these little people with us. They're pretty incredible and special, and I know it's a lot to get them here every day, to pay for them being here, and everything you have to do at home to support them. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.